Hey guys, how's it going? This right here is the all new ASUS ZenBook 13 OLED edition that we have in for a review. Now, as the name suggests, the highlight of this laptop is definitely that OLED panel, which is just, well, one of the best in its class, but also new into this segment. But it's not just the panel, the laptop also comes with the new Ryzen 5000 series chipsets and quite a great package. But does this package warrant your purchase? Should you spend your buck on this laptop? Well, let's try and find an answer to that question. This is Varun from Guiding Tech and you're watching my in-depth review of the ASUS ZenBook 13. Let's get started. Alright, so let's start off with the design, which is, well, pretty much the same. I mean, okay, here's a card to our previous ZenBook 14 2020 review, and the design here is literally the same. It's not pretty much the same, it's literally the same. That was 14 inch, this is 13 inch, that's just the same. The same I/O, the same Ogu lift hinge, the same practical and functional design that, well, tries to look premium, but this circular finish on the back panel just does not allow it to look that premium. Like, to be very frank, I am super serious right now. At this rate, you're just better off getting a skin, because I doubt that ASUS will be changing this panel anytime soon. Like, okay, I know there might be some of you guys out there who might actually like this kind of a design. I don't. I genuinely do not. I really hate it, simply because I know hate is a strong word, but I genuinely hate it because this is a very good package that just does not look premium simply because of this finish. The VivoBook lineup has a far better finish than what the ZenBook series offers. So yeah, I mean, it just does not suit my taste. But apart from that, everything here is premium. The build quality is top notch with military grade certification, and I just can't stress enough on how important this Ergo lift hinge is. Alright, now let's talk about the OLED panel here. I'm not sure how that looked on camera, but trust me, it's definitely the highlight here. And for good reason too. A 10-bit HDR panel with 100% DCI-P3 color gamut, which is Pantone validated and has VESA HDR certification. Like, seriously, it has all apart from a high refresh rate. But to be very frank, on this form factor and for an Ultrabook, to be very frank, you do not even need a high refresh rate. Like, that thing apart, this panel is easily the best panel I've used on a laptop, even if you bring MacBooks into the picture. It's really that good. The colors are punchy and vivid, and the viewing angles are just amazing, and to top it all, there's no light bleed issue whatsoever. Also, ASUS has done some work to ensure the longevity of the panel. For starters, Windows comes in dark mode by default, and the company also maintains a brightness level in the 60% range to ensure that you're not burning out pixels when not required. Now, considering that this is a very bright panel, to be fair, 60% is definitely going to be more than enough for a lot of folks out there. That said, there are a couple of things that you do need to keep in mind before you actually end up buying this laptop. For starters, as bright as this panel is, it is a glossy panel, which can prove to be a hindrance when operating under direct sunlight. Secondly, OLEDs do not come in cheap. So until and unless you have a predefined use case for this kind of an OLED panel, I would generally suggest you spend your money elsewhere on an IPS panel, maybe in the same ZenBook lineup if you want to. Now, moving along, there's the keyboard, and similar to the ZenBook 14 2020, it's a fully stretched out keyboard. But see, here's the thing, that was a 14-inch chassis. So even though the keys were all stretched out and everything, it was still like fine for someone with large hands like me. The ZenBook 13, on the other hand, well, the keyboard feels very crammed in. It just does not feel that good. Like, I've been using it continuously for the past 1 week, and while I'll admit that the accuracy of my keystrokes has improved over time, the overall spacing still feels congested, at least for someone with large hands like mine. Add to that, the feedback here is average at best, so it's not really appealing for a typing enthusiast like me. There is a wide backlit here with 3 levels of brightness, and that does come in handy for nighttime usage. As for the touchpad, it's the ASUS number pad that brings out your numpad onto the touchpad. Personally, I do not really care much for it, simply because my use case is not that restricted to a numpad. And even for the people who really do need a numpad for the work, I highly doubt they would enjoy this, simply because of that one factor that I've been pushing ASUS for a very long time. Like, okay, you are putting your numpad on your touchpad. Sounds good, everything is fine. the feedback is still missing. Like, you can immediately feel that, okay, it's not a keyboard, it's a touchpad that you're just pressing on. I genuinely wish that ASUS were to like basically put a vibration motor below the touchpad to just try and at least emulate the kind of a feedback that a keyboard would offer, because that is the one thing that genuinely stops me from using that numpad. See, to ASUS's credit, the touchpad, even if the numpad mode is turned on, works very fine. The gestures work great. And speaking of gestures, the touchpad here is very, very wide. So Windows gestures and everything work very well. And that is something that you usually do not say about ASUS laptops, because their touchpads haven't been that great. But this one right here is very good. Now moving along, there's the audio segment here. And the ZenBook 13, like I said, uses downward firing speakers that are supposed to be enhanced with this auger lift hinge. Now I'll be very honest, I wasn't expecting anything great out of this, but I was pleasantly surprised by the actual audio output here. See, DTS and all of those brandings I genuinely do not care for. I genuinely just care about the actual output, and the actual output on this machine is pretty darn good. It's not a sound machine for sure, but the ZenBook does produce a good level of volume with clear audio for a 13-inch machine with bottom firing speakers. Again, it's not a purely entertainment setup, but say you buy this for work and you just want to binge watch a series or watch a movie over the weekend, this is something that you will not be disappointed with. Now, what you would be disappointed with is the webcam right here. It's not good. It's like, okay. See, the webcam here is, well, it's subpar. That too when there's decent lighting. Even a slight drop in the lighting conditions from idle, and the webcam struggles to keep the frame rate constant. As you can see, my hands and my face are not at a constant 30 FPS also. So yeah, that is an issue. The image is anyway soft and full of a lot of noise and graininess. So there's that as well. One thing that you would appreciate is that you do get Windows Hello. So that's good. It works approximately 8 to 9 out of 10 times, which is fine. Like, that's a standard rate I would expect from a machine like that. That said, if you buy this laptop to attend video calls, make sure that you invest some amount of money into getting some decent lighting near your work desk at the very least. Alright, so now let's talk about performance. So our unit here comes equipped with a Ryzen 7 5700U processor coupled with 16 GB of LPDDR4X memory, clocked at 3733 MHz and a 1 TB of PCIe SSD storage. That makes up for a powerhouse, and it shows. See, day-to-day tasks were a breeze for a machine like this. Obviously, that is something that you do not expect a machine like this to struggle at. Now, to actually make use of that panel along with the performance, I tried running Photoshop and Premiere Pro on this. And to be very frank with you, both of those apps worked very well. But let's be realistic here. The Radeon graphics here are integrated or in an APU format. That's not a fully fledged dedicated graphic card. So you have to keep your expectations realistic. Do not expect your ZenBook 13 to actually act as your full-fledged editing machine on the go. This can't do that. That's it. If you're a photographer or basically a content creator who just plays around with photos, this thing should work just fine. As for games, titles like Valorant and Rocket League run fine at medium settings, but there were a few FPS drops in between, when you're trying to load multiple models. Thankfully though, even after pushing this machine through everything that I just talked about, the temperatures never crossed the 88 degrees Celsius mark, which is very good considering that this uses a very basic cooling mechanism, just a single heatsink with a single fan. But surprisingly, that does get the job done. Digging inside this laptop, you'll find that everything here is soldered onto the motherboard, other than the SSD of course. But that said, with 1 TB of storage out of the box, I doubt how many of you would be interested in swapping the internal SSD anyway. Lastly, there's the battery life, and the ZenBook 13 comes with a 67 Wh battery. Couple that with an OLED panel and you can expect some really good battery life on this. Like in my average use case, I was averaging around 8 hours of use case with this, which is pretty good. For a medium user, that's fine. If you are a heavy user who's using a lot of Photoshop, a lot of photo editing, or even running Premiere Pro other side, you can see somewhere around 4 to 5 hours from this laptop. That said, if you're a purely web browsing or a word processor guy, turn everything to dark mode, like even your office apps, even your online apps, use a dark mode on your Chrome or Edge browser and just use it, and you can easily get 10 to maybe 11 hours out of this laptop no issues whatsoever. So that is great. Couple that with the fact that this thing comes with USB PD and a 65 watt USB-C charger inside the box. Now you can obviously use that charger to juice up other devices like your smartphones, like my Samsung Galaxy S21 also supports USB PD, so I can charge it with the ASUS charger, no issues whatsoever. Or you can use a third-party USB PD charger to just charge the thing on the go, no issues, easy peasy. So what's the verdict here? Well, see, there are a couple of things that I want to highlight here. First off, does the laptop feel premium and does it justify its price tag? Well, yeah, it does. For sure, it cuts corners here and there, but the overall package is still quite premium and lives up to the price tag. Now that's established. But the other thing that you should be concerned about is, do you really need that kind of a package? It's like, okay, for a normal user, he knows that a Ferrari or a BMW is not overpriced. It's expensive. That's established. But do they really need that kind of a performance? Do they really need that while, commuting in the city? Probably not. And that's the whole point here with the ZenBook 13 as well. As good as this package is, as good as that panel is, do you really need that panel? Like, I'll be very honest, unless you're a content creator who lives primarily into the photography world, you won't even get the best use case out of this panel. Like, trust me, you won't. Like, for instance, give a business user the same laptop, basically the Intel variant of this that comes with an IPS LCD panel. Give him that package and he would just be equally happy with the overall package. In that process, they would end up saving a couple of bucks. Yeah, apparently that statement is not exactly true. See, the thing is that when we received the product, we were anticipating a price point of around the 1 lakh category simply because OLEDs are expensive, and we've seen that in the previous ZenBook Flip series as well. But ASUS just pulled off a master stroke, and the actual OLED panel lineup is starting at just 80,000. So if you compare it with the Intel lineup on Amazon right now is priced somewhere around the 75,000 to the 77,000. So for a price difference of just less than 5,000, to be very fair with you, I would say just wholeheartedly go for the OLED panels. It's a far better display and the processors are much better. And some might say that okay, Intel offers slightly better battery backup, but you can make up for that battery backup if you're using your laptop in the dark mode on the OLED panel. So yeah, essentially it's the same breakup in the battery life as well. I can seriously say wholeheartedly just go for that OLED panel. It's a damn good deal. So yeah, that is the verdict. If you like this video, make sure to let us know by giving us a thumbs up and subscribing to our channel for more awesome tech content. Till then, this is One from Guiding Tech, and I'll see you in the next one.